Hail Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt! The Dork Lords. We are here talking about Legion. Season 2, Episode 1. Entitled Chapter 9. The reason it's Chapter 9 is because the first season had 8 episodes.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. If you want to check out those episodes, we do have those in a playlist.
Yeah.
Season 1, we even made some theories, which I went back and listened to both.
Yeah, sure.
Before the episode aired last night. We probably missed a few things, but we were right on a few things. The obvious things we were right on.
Sure. There
But
would be a season 2.
yes,
On the nose.
on the nose. Okay, so just a little background here then. Okay, so if you remember when we last left off, David Haller, Professor X's son, who's like uber powerful in the comics,
Yeah,
and is somewhat uber powerful here, although he's kind of held back by his own mind.
sure.
We haven't seen that many instances of his full display of power.
Yes.
But everybody's like, oh, that guy. Okay, anyway, so he had just managed to extract the Shadow King from his mind.
Yes.
The Shadow King promptly leaped into the mind of Oliver, played by our Flight of the Conchords dude, Jermaine, and took off. So Shadow King in the mind of Oliver. Meanwhile, David, reflecting on the recent victory, who can also still sense the Shadow King, gets zapped into a drone, a little orb, floating orb,
Yep.
and flown away. And that was the end of the season. It was like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
credits.
There you go.
So what happened to David? Blah, 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 blah. We still don't know exactly what happened
No,
to David.
we really don't.
What this season 2 starts with almost exactly a year later. They mentioned 362 days. Like, that's important somehow. I don't know. Maybe something really important happens on the anniversary. Maybe the 3 days after that. I don't know. Anyway, like we might be coming forward in time to that 365. Uh-oh. I don't know. Anyway, a year ago, David got taken away in a drone. In his mind, as we meet him in the present day, it felt like it was yesterday. It wasn't.
No.
It was a year ago.
Yes.
So everyone is really suspicious of this guy. Like, wait, what? How do you not know what happened to you? Especially because when he gets found a year later, he's found in apparently. This is all apparently. let's just put that in quotes. Superficially speaking, what we know from the show, what the show is telling us, implying, is he gets taken away in a drone. Zoop!
Yep.
Year goes by where he's not found. I think because Sid's like, where were you? We didn't find you. So I think he was gone.
Yes.
None of his friends knew where he was.
No.
They finally find him a year later in a dance club, a nightclub, and he's dancing with Oliver,
Yes.
who at that point a year later is still under the influence of the Shadow King. And basically the Autonomy and folks rescue David and take him away from the club. And that's kind of where we start things. So one of the big changes from the last season is that, one of the big bads of last season was D3.
Yes.
It's the organization designed to take out mutants. Mutants are dangerous. Get rid of them. Well, now Team Mutant is working with D3.
Yes. Working for them.
Right. Melanie.
Four.
Very important. They're getting paid. They're getting paychecks. They're getting Social Security, dental.
They said they're working for them.
Okay. So Melanie and Sid managed to convince D3 that mutants aren't a threat.
No.
And so they're like, all right, so be
Most
it.
of them are harmless.
So Melanie, what I want to get back to on that is we have a disagreement perhaps on Melanie's background.
we do.
Okay,
We
so
disagree.
anyway, so Melanie, Sid, Autonomy, and the two Carries, Carrie with a C, the male version, who's the inventor guy, and Carrie with a K, the female, who's the tactical bodyguard person. They're all working for D3. We also see Clark, the guy with the half-burned face.
Yes.
He got his face burned in episode 1, I believe, of season 1. Anyway, Clark is kind of running things
Yes.
in D3.
Well, he's certainly above them.
He's
but
above
not-
them, right.
'cause
He's middle management.
Because Ed's the boss. He's the general basket head guy.
Right,
So
yeah.
he's the one running everything.
The introduction of basket head and women with mustaches speaking with computer voices, it's a bit abstract.
Yeah.
It's a little
I
at the
haven't
moment. It's weird.
experienced that
I'm going to
before.
trust that the show has a good reason and not just like that'll look silly and weird. Let's put a basket on the guy's head. That there's actually something to this, and that'll pay off. It's going to pay off, everybody. But anyway, so yes, you're right. That's General Fukuyama
Yes.
is the guy running the show for D3. Baskethead. All right. So yeah, that's where we were. The state of affairs. Oh, also we know that Shadow King. We theorized this in our theory video. It wasn't much of a theory. It was just he's searching for something. We knew that from season 1. What's he searching for? We guessed maybe he was searching for Cerebro because he wanted to use Cerebro's, powers to accentuate his own.
Yeah.
No. Oh, according to this, he's looking for his body.
Yes.
His original body. Farouk. Amil Farouk is out there somewhere. Seems to be deliberately hidden. So as that the soul psyche couldn't find the body. So maybe we can, I don't know, we can theorize that maybe Professor X hid the body. I don't know. Somebody hid the body.
Yes.
Well. Wasn't just like, no. Let's stick him in the hotel room and it'll be fine. So Farouk's body's out there somewhere. He is looking for it using Oliver as his automaton.
Yes.
And apparently D3 is also looking for it. Or they're looking for the Shadow King more than the body.
Yeah, I think they're looking for
But one of the things we do
Oliver,
learn,
but because of Oliver especially. Although, I guess they're still trying to figure that out.
I'll skip to this just because it fits in line with what we've just been talking about. So one of the big revelations is we see David has a dream, and in that dream, Sid shows up. She's got, apparently it looks like one arm.
That's what it looks.
So it looks like she's missing one of her gloved arm. One of her gloves is no longer necessary. And she communicates via drawing, kind of a charades style thing. 'Cause she can't talk either.
Well,
She isn't talking. Not
Yes.
that we don't know if she has the ability or not to talk.
Yes.
She might be being quiet because she doesn't want to alert the Shadow King. I don't know. Anyway, she lets him know she's from the future. She is communicating in his dream from the future, and we see that she's got this locket. She's wearing a locket that David had just given her, like one scene earlier, which is also it's a compass that the true north points always at David, so she can always find him.
yes.
Which is a big theme from this episode in particular. Was the idea of people being lost and being found. Anyway, so she's from the future, and she's like, "Hey, you know what you need to do? You need to have the Shadow King find his body. You need to help that happen." Which seems weird, like you wouldn't want, because we've heard earlier that if Shadow King finds his body, his powers increase exponentially. We're like, don't want that.
Nope. Wouldn't want that.
Or do you? Right? All right. So anyway, that and he describes it as a race. It's like it's a race to get the body.
Yes.
But in this case, maybe the race is not a race. It's just like, oh, we'll get it for you. Here you go. We got here first, and here it is.
No, I don't want it.
So that said, that's kind of the major plot beats. But within this show is it's very good at giving you slows down to give you some nice character beats. And so we kind of touch base with all these people a year later and what they're like now. So, for instance, Melanie. Melanie is depressed.
Yes.
As you would be.
I would be.
In the case that she had, Oliver was the love of her life.
Yes.
He disappeared into the astral plane for decades. Finally comes back from the. She thought he was. Well, I don't think she thought that he was dead because she kept like monitoring his body, whatever.
Yeah, and it was heartbreaking when he came back because he didn't remember Melanie.
Right.
And seemingly, when he finally does remember Melanie. Oh well.
Oh, and she gets that Shadow King, and off he goes. So
Yeah.
there was no chance for a joyous reunion.
Yeah, I don't think Melanie was even around. to
Right when
see-
he has the
yeah.
realization.
Wait,
Agreed.
I've got a wife.
Yeah.
It's kind of hot.
So, so she's pining for the loss of her love, basically, and she's doing drugs,
Yeah.
and it's just trying to keep herself from avoiding the pain. And she has a long talk with Sid, showing the parallels to say, David's kind of like Oliver. Oh, he goes away.
Yeah.
Oh, because destiny calls.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we'd be horrible people if we decided to stand in the way of him doing some awesome thing. And yet, these relationships we're required to just stand and wait. And that obviously has an effect on Sid. She's been thinking similarly anyway, and hence that's the compass is kind of in some ways David perceiving that's a problem and gives her maybe it's like, hey, if we get lost, we can be lost together, is what he tells her.
Yeah, well, that's not the only issue she's bringing to him.
All right, what is the other?
Well, the other thing is he's keeping secrets from her. He's not telling her at all. He's still like, oh, nothing. I don't remember anything that happened. No, I don't remember nothing. No, I don't.
Yeah, when she's
He
like, what did
remembers
you
himself.
see? Just pictures, nothing really of me dancing in the nightclub with the Shadow King. Yeah, I think David feels that he is still at least somehow being influenced by the Shadow King, and he doesn't want to admit it to his fellow people because then they'd be scared of him, and maybe try to isolate him or something.
My thinking is perhaps his experience with the future. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe he's afraid of that. I guess I'm reluctant to actually want to think of him as still under the influence of it because it's just like,
We spent a season with him that way, and we thought he was now free.
Yeah.
And we could see him as himself.
and it doesn't look like what little we've seen of him in his own story where he starts off as in the head of Oliver, with Oliver, and then you see this sort of Russian doll version of himself.
Oh, you're talking about where Oliver's in the pool.
Yes.
Right. So I feel like that scene is particularly is Oliver realizing that he has been trapped by the Shadow King. So the Shadow King's sitting next to him, Lenny, a version of the Shadow King. And they're in this pool, and he's like, oh, I wish I had a drink. Oh, here's a drink. Wait, where did that guy go? And so Oliver, whereas in the first season, David didn't know if he was crazy or not. Like, he kept thinking, my doctors tell me I'm schizophrenic. I'm just crazy. And Oliver has at least some ability to say, oh, I know. I saw this happen with David. I'm actually I'm trapped in my mind.
He knows
perhaps.
the experience of being trapped in his mind.
Well, true, he knows that too. But he might actually know that it's the Shadow King doing it, but he doesn't have the ability he doesn't have the strength of will to overcome what the Shadow King is. The delusion, we talk about delusions in this thing that has been laid upon him. So, yeah, he's trapped in this blissful setting, but it's still a prison.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would
There's
not be thrilled if somehow we saw Shadow King in David's mind.
I agree that seems to be that road's been trodden, and we should move on. So hopefully that's the case. But I do feel like obviously they're trying to use David's ability to sense the Shadow King. That's what that tank is for. When he goes in the tank, like, oh, well, it will amplify your ability to sense him and try to pinpoint where he is. So how somehow there's a link. There's at least a psychic
He
link.
could have been just trying to, sensory deprivate him into remembering what happened.
True. Okay. I thought he said something like, oh, we're going to try to pinpoint using the different frequencies.
Oh.
I don't know.
Okay,
All right.
maybe I dropped off at that point. Not that I thought it was boring, especially I've just been tired.
Well, in the tank we see David, the dance, the big dance. That supposedly we hear from Ptolemy, we found you dancing with Oliver.
Yes.
So I think the dance represents, in some ways, like a psychic battle that they were having in the club, and that's kind of a cool. I like that scene. I like the fact that there was I don't know, the mentality that what you would use to psychically strike out at somebody manifests itself in your body or in the bodies of the people dancing with you.
Certainly more. I mean, not that I have a problem with fights, but it's a different way of
Right, instead of just punch, kick. It was a psychic battle, psychic dance battle.
Yes.
It was Peter Quill with the
style.
break it down. We had the Oliver is feeling trapped, and the nesting doll effect of having Farouk. We see a side of Farouk sitting next to the Eiffel Tower. I don't know what that's all about. If that's just again in a prison of the mind thing, or is he actually in Paris at that time? We also hear John Hamm narrating a series of fables that are relevant to the episode. He talks about delusions, and we see this really creepy black oil chick thing.
Oh yeah, it's true. I forgot all about that.
And the fact that we see Lenny, like, we hear her kill a chick. It's like an idea tries to grow, and then we see the little black oozy chick, feeding off of that thing, and that then we see that delusional, oily creature crawling under David's bed to suggest that David is under a delusion.
No.
So I don't know what delusion that is, but apparently there is one. We also hear the tale of Zhang Zhu, who is some great guy, powerful person who dreamed of being a butterfly for so long that when he woke up, he didn't know if he was a person who had just dreamed he was a butterfly, or he was a butterfly who was now dreaming that he was a person. Which again is that it's all in his mind. That was my mantra from season 1. Was it's all in his mind. I don't think this is all in his mind this time. It was kind of all in his mind in season 1. I'd like to think it's not all in his mind in season 2.
It was?
Well, a lot of when they were in the asylum, they weren't really in the asylum.
That was later.
Well, sure.
The first time they were, they were.
Oh, whoops. Okay. It was partially in his mind. Okay. There are some bizarre. Obviously, the general with the basket on his head is a bizarre thing. And
very bizarre.
Lieutenants. And then the fact that when David wakes up, his first thing is like, "I want waffles."
Yeah.
And then we see him sitting in, I guess it's the D3 cafeteria, and it's got a moat that just has this parade of waffles that just kind of on, and he's like, it's weird. I mean, like, it seems like dream imagery, but theoretically it's not. It's just, we have the floating waffle stand. Autonomy is just kind of towing the company line.
Yeah,
seems to be. Let's remember. So his powers, his ability is to go into people's minds and make them help them like become part of their memories.
I forgot about that. Yeah, then why do you volunteer to do that to him?
Yeah. So he's I don't know. Maybe he's trying to help David, but he's not. Doing the stuff that we're familiar with him doing. Yeah. Sid's power is to become. She can transfer selves with whatever she touches, which is why she wears the gloves. Which is kind of. I like that scene in the beginning where she's actually transferred herself with a cat.
Yeah.
So she's like, just practicing. That was kind of cute. I like that. So those powers, we see the two Carries, combine with each other and split off. Their relationship is still doing its thing. But Carrie is kind of heading up the tactical group of the D3 folks. It just feels weird that they would have so, obviously it's been a year, so it's not quickly.
No.
But somewhere in there, like they would just like jump onto the other side. When D3 did so much harm to them over the years, for them to just like, yep, we're all on board, seems a little convenient. So there's a lot we're going to learn. What this season's going to be about is we're learning what that year was, because David was doing something, and also these folks at D3 were doing something, because what we learned from the trailer, and what we also learned from this episode a little bit, because we see Sid from the future, right? We also see in the trailer that Carrie with a C surmises, oh, this looks like something I would have designed, when he's looking at what looks like the drone, the little that carried off David. So the implication is that the mutant team from the future decided, to stop some horrible future, kind of a Days of Future Past type thing. We need to go back and retcon this thing, somehow explaining to David what needs to happen. And so perhaps this drone that we were trying to theorize last season, a lot of those theories were, what is it? Who picked up David in a drone? It appears that perhaps it was his own folks from the future. Maybe. Where that drone went, where it dropped him off, we don't know. But I think that's something we're going to learn. We're going to learn that gap. There's some stuff that, as you mentioned, David's keeping secrets, and some secrets even from himself. I'm not sure he knows everything. But he was off on his own for a while. What did he do? What horrible future is this mutant team trying to avert by figuring out ways to send stuff to the past? Those are facts. We're also seems like we're gonna spend some time with Farouk. The trailer has him talking, and so I think we're gonna have some David v. Farouk moments again, which will be kind of cool. Anything particular? Like, is there a particular scene that struck your fancy, sir?
No. I mean, I was just trying to get used to being in the show again. So I'd been away from it, and
it is unlike any other show.
The weirdness I was not, I hadn't acclimated to yet. I'd had time to be away from it, and so the weirdness was, I'm hoping that more stuff will make sense, and it doesn't seem like they're just being weird to be weird.
I did love the scene where Clark, Bernie Face, comes to interrogate David. And so I think it's even just in the cafeteria. I'm not sure. But it's like the bit where he's like, when I was a kid, my mom was really sick. The way he just passes it off too. She died when I was 10. But he's like, she was really sick, so she'd keep me home, and we would watch soap operas. And we had what we called a drinking game, except it was ice cream. And we would eat ice cream every time a character claimed they had an evil twin or amnesia. Yeah. And I got husky. She called me husky. I ate a lot of ice cream because there was a lot of that happening in the soap operas, which is basically his way of saying, I don't believe that you had amnesia. But it was a fun way of doing that.
He's and then someone put some ice cream in front of him.
Yeah. Oh, you want to go ahead? Tell me your story. Amnesia?
Evil twin, you say?
Was it? Did you have an evil twin first and then get amnesia? So yeah, it's in some ways it was almost like the show poking fun at itself a little bit, like a little meta almost. But that's the story that David's clinging to for now is amnesia. So that was cool. I do like that character. I like Clark.
Oh yeah, he's very good.
He's not just I'm a villain or something. He's got a really complex backstory. Yeah. We know his family story. He's cool. I like him. Yeah. More of Clark.
And he Buckethead wanted to get rid of him because they thought he was going to be infected. We even talked about that.
Oh, that's true. The infection stuff. When you basically get rid of him, what do you mean?
They were going to get rid of David. They were saying, "Oh, is he infected? Oh, well, we should get rid of him. Don't take a chance. Kill him."
And
then
the Clark two mustache women have apparently, according to them, have part of their brain has been replaced by a computer to avoid the virus. Maybe I don't know. Anyway.
But Clark was like, "No, he's strong enough to fight it." So Clark was looking out for him.
So
in
yeah,
that instance.
so this one of the parables that John Hamm talks about is the maze and being lost in the maze, and this it's kind of almost like a mental illness metaphor where it's like people get lost inside their own heads and they can't get out. And that seems to be what this virus is that is being spread by the Shadow King. They first are like, they're puzzled. D3 is puzzled. What is this outbreak? There's this outbreak of a psychological virus that basically makes people just stand in place and chatter their teeth. A very ominous, disturbing thing.
Sure.
And then they realize, oh, it's always in the places where Oliver shows up. So whether it's a byproduct of the Shadow King's like residue that's being put off him or something he's deliberately doing, there's a virus spreading, and it's spreading from the Shadow King.
And I wonder if it's really related to David in some way, like David trying to battle him, and it's just the other times they didn't notice that David was there or whatever. I wonder.
That's true, because they didn't know where David was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and maybe that's, here we go, theorizing. This is a theory crafting show. Maybe the reason they want David from the future to put Farouk with his body is because the act of David battling the king is what's making the virus happen. So like, stop fighting him because you're making this virus grow around the world. So it's just better to have the Shadow King's gonna be around anyway. Give him his own body. You won't have chattery teeth people, and we can fight the guy.
I don't know if that is true. True, kudos to you, but I suspect that we don't have enough information to guess
we,
yet.
We do not have enough information to guess, or we have a lot of fake information.
Yeah.
But the show looks awesome. It's so colorful. The camera tricks they use are really, really fun. The fact that people are like floating on the ceiling or sitting like they're lying down but they're upright. There's just a lot of the nature of reality is questioned pretty much in every scene.
Yes.
And deliberately so. And that's really cool. So in some ways what they're doing is they're trying to put the audience in a little bit of the position of David. Like, what is real?
Yeah.
Are you real? So I like that. I mean, that I think is a conscious choice to make the audience as unsettled as David feels in these moments of like, I don't know where I am. I don't remember my past. I know that in my distant past, I did not know reality. I was wrong about it. So I'm questioning everything.
Yeah.
So that's cool. It's good on that level. I do feel like some of these things should pay off and not just be weird for weird's sake. The Baskethead would be top on my list.
Really? Okay.
Baskethead and his minions seem weird for weird's sake. I don't know about the waffle moat I can deal with. It's like, it's just a cool, somebody wanted it and they're like, all right, that's fine. Waffle moat. But Baskethead and the minions, I need some clarification on them.
Or the release of an album.
Right. Baskethead and the Minions, brought to you by. Anyway, that is episode 1. Any final thoughts?
Or episode 9.
That's true, chapter 9.
Chapter 9.
Chapter 9?
More thoughts? No, I think I've expressed what I felt.
Okay. Cool. So, they reintroduce us to everybody. We remember the cast now.
Yes, we're back.
And we're back. Looking forward to episode 2. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll probably do some Jessica Jones maybe next week.
Okay.
I'm thinking. So tune in for that. And we'll also be back with Legion. Thanks, everybody. Bye now.
Bye now.